Have you ever felt like your relationships are more like business deals than genuine connections? Maybe you've noticed that every conversation, every favor, every gesture seems to come with strings attached, as if there's an invisible contract being negotiated. We're talking about transactional relationships, where every interaction feels like an exchange, a trade of services or emotional currency, rather than a true meeting of hearts and minds. It's not just healthy give and take. It's a constant, unspoken accounting of who owes what, a running tally that never seems to balance out. Maybe it's the friend who only calls when they need something, or the one who disappears when you're the one in need, or the partner who measures love by what you do for them, keeping score of every gesture, every sacrifice, every act of kindness. In these relationships, your value feels tied to your usefulness, not who you are at your core. It's as if your worth is conditional, always up for review. The warmth and authenticity we crave get lost in this ledger keeping, replaced by a sense of distance and emotional coldness. Disappointment and resentment build when the trade feels unfair, making the relationship fragile and easily broken by unmet expectations. This mindset can make you believe your worth depends on what you provide. A lonely, exhausting place to be, where genuine connection feels out of reach. Let's shine a light on this dynamic and understand what's really at stake, because recognizing these patterns is the first step toward building relationships that are truly meaningful and fulfilling. Why do we keep score in relationships? Why do we find ourselves mentally tracking who called last, who made the plans, or who gave more? It's a question that quietly shapes the way we connect with others, even if we don't always realize it. Often, it's fear. Fear of being taken for granted or being the only one who cares. We worry that if we give too much, we'll end up feeling empty or unappreciated. So, we start tallying favors to protect ourselves, hoping to keep things fair. It's like we're building invisible ledgers, quietly measuring every gesture and every word. Many of us learned early that love and approval had to be earned, so we carry that mindset into adulthood. Childhood experiences, like being praised only when we achieve something, taught us that affection comes with conditions. We confuse fairness with rigid equality. If I do this, you must do that. We start to believe that relationships should always be perfectly balanced, as if every act of kindness needs to be matched. But real connection isn't a perfect balance sheet. It's about supporting each other through life's ups and downs. True relationships are built on trust, not transactions. Scorekeeping is really about insecurity, wondering if we're enough just as we are. It's a sign that we're searching for reassurance, hoping to prove our worth. When you don't believe you're worthy of love for simply being you, you try to earn your place. Every favor becomes a test, every gesture a way to measure if you belong. This turns relationships into negotiations, not safe harbors. Instead of feeling secure, we're always calculating, always wondering if we're giving too much or not enough. The search for validation from others never ends, because true validation can only come from within. No amount of keeping score will fill the emptiness if we don't value ourselves first. We need to break this cycle. We need to let go of the idea that love is something to be earned or measured. Let's look at how this mindset actually dims our light, and how we can start to shift toward more genuine, fulfilling connections. Living in a transactional mindset comes at a cost. Your self-worth. When your value is measured by what you do, you feel guilty or anxious when you can't give as much. Every act of kindness becomes a transaction, robbing your actions of authenticity and joy. You start to distrust others, building walls that keep out both hurt and genuine connection. Over time, you internalize the belief that you are only as good as your last favor. Your identity gets lost in being the helper, the provider, the doer. You forget your passions, your dreams, your true self. Your light dims, convinced it only shines when it's serving someone else. Let me tell you about Carol, a woman whose whole life revolved around helping others. She was the first to show up when someone needed a hand, always ready with a listening ear or a comforting word. Her days were filled with acts of kindness, big and small, and she took pride in being the person everyone could count on. But when her family and friends no longer needed her as much, Carol found herself feeling lost and unsure. The phone stopped ringing as often, and the requests for help grew fewer. She realized that so much of her identity was wrapped up in being needed by others. Carol realized she didn't know who she was outside of being needed. She stared at her reflection, searching for a sense of self that wasn't defined by her role as a helper. Her sense of worth had been tied to her acts of service for so long that without them, she felt empty. It was as if a part of her had vanished, leaving behind a hollow space she didn't know how to fill. She had never explored her own interests or passions. The things she once loved, her hobbies, her dreams, had been pushed aside for years, gathering dust in the background of her life. Carol's journey was about learning her worth wasn't in what she did for others, but in who she was. She began to reflect, journal, and meditate, slowly reconnecting with herself and discovering what truly made her happy. She started saying no to others so she could say yes to herself. Setting boundaries felt strange at first, but it gave her the space to breathe and grow. Slowly, she rediscovered her own joys, like painting, laughter, and dreams she'd forgotten. Each small step brought her closer to a life that felt authentic and fulfilling. Her worth was always there, waiting for her to claim it. She learned that she was valuable, not because of what she did for others, but simply because of who she was. You can do the same. Remember, your value isn't measured by how much you give, but by the unique person you are inside. How do you find your value outside of what you provide? Start by challenging the voice that says you must earn your place. Make a who I am list, not what you do, but what makes you, you. Reconnect with your passions, your humor, your dreams. Create non-negotiable time for yourself, moments where you're not giving, just being. Even a few minutes a day can remind you that you're worthy of your own care. Surround yourself with people who see you for who you are, not just what you do. Nurture relationships that feel reciprocal in spirit, not just in action. When you're accepted for your whole self, it reinforces your inherent worth. Your value isn't up for negotiation. It simply is. Reclaiming your worth takes action. Start by setting boundaries. Say no when you need to without apology or guilt. Change your self-talk. Stop apologizing for existing and use confident language. Validate yourself. Celebrate your own efforts. Don't wait for others to do it. Practice receiving. Accept compliments and help without deflecting. Allow yourself to be cared for, not just the caretaker. These steps may feel uncomfortable, but each one strengthens your sense of self. You're not just a giver, you're worthy of kindness and support too. Step out of the one-way street of giving and into the dance of genuine connection. This is how you reclaim your power, and it's how you start living from a place of true self-worth. We've explored how transactional relationships can drain us, and how reclaiming our worth changes everything. Here's the truth. Your value is not a transaction. It's your birthright. You don't have to earn, prove, or negotiate your worth. Like the sun, you shine simply because it's your nature. The world may try to measure you by what you do, but your worth is unchanging. Your work is to remember this truth, not create it. Let go of the ledger. Stop keeping score. Your presence is enough. Your being is your gift. When you live from this place, you give freely and connect deeply, not out of obligation, but from abundance. That is the ultimate truth of your worth.